me?
Now you can if you
Okay.
yell at him.
All good.
No?
you warm? Could you check the temperature? It should be, or ask Sean.
Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to the Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, located in Durham, North Carolina. We meet here on the ancestral lands of the Eno, Shakori, Saponi, Sissipaha, and Lumbee people. Their descendants live here and in surrounding communities today. I'm Reverend Deborah Cayer, and whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your race, your gender, whomever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're new to this community, if you're here maybe for the first or the second time, would you rise in body or spirit so we can welcome you? Awesome. Welcome. It's so good to see you this morning in person. And if you're visiting online today, would you introduce yourself in the chat box? And we want to welcome you, and you'll find a link there that will help you learn more about us. We invite everybody to the Inquirers class on Sunday morning in person and online, and the link for that class can be found on the homepage in the events section or in our weekly e-news. We usually offer Sunday morning classes for children, and today was the last day that's happening at 9 o'clock. Children will be with us here in the sanctuary next Sunday as our religious education leaders are taking a well-deserved break between now and the summer programs. So, beginning the first week in June, I think we have a slide. It'll be up in a minute. We have the Spiritual Odyssey program, which is very popular. It begins at 9. Then worship will begin here at 10, and children will begin in the sanctuary and go to their classes from here. There it is. Beginning June 5th, I think it says. There it is. Yeah, and as you can see, they're going to go off to their programs, and then after the service, there'll be adult programs, including inquirers in the Commons room. So, life goes on. As you know, the lead ministers are in transition here at ERUUF. My heart is just absolutely overflowing with love and with gratitude. And I thank everyone, especially for the amazing, wonderful goodbye party last night. It was off the hook. It was just really fun. The love that was poured out last night was beyond anything I could have ever imagined, and I just thank all of the organizers, and I thank everyone who contributed and everyone who showed up to celebrate and help me cross over this threshold. You can also, they asked me to tell you this. If you didn't have a chance yet to fill out a page for the scrapbook, you can do that after the service, and there'll be other opportunities to do that in the coming weeks. It's not over yet. So see website and e-news for how to do that if you can't do it today. So at this time, I want to introduce you to someone who's here to help all of us while we're all in transition. I want to welcome Reverend Brett out of sabbatical for this very special day. So what a blessing that you're here this morning. Thank you for doing this. And you may well know her already, but I want to introduce Reverend Patty Hanneman. This is Reverend Patty Hanneman. She is She will be ERUUF's transition minister this summer. Reverend Patty's already been working behind the scenes here on worship services and with the religious education folks and other teams. And she is going to join me in this morning service along with Reverend Brett. And Reverend Patty is going to work with Daniel Trollinger and Reverend Stacy Grove to keep everything running smoothly at ERUUF this summer. Welcome, Reverend Patty. But wait, there's more. Today at 12:30, we're having ERUUF's annual meeting. Everyone is invited to attend to hear reports. So exciting, reports. And the new staffing plan and the proposed budget for next year. And there will also be an end of covenant ritual at the end between me and ERUUF. However, as always, only members are able to vote, though everyone is welcome to the meeting. So immediately after the service, members can register and pick up their voting card and meeting materials in the foyer outside in the sanctuary. And also right after the service ends, if you're staying, you're able to pick up a box lunch in the fellowship hall. Donations are welcome, but lunch is available regardless of your ability to donate. I want to also welcome Reverend Stacy Grove to this service in her capacity as a healing sound person. We decided that we really needed to ground ourselves this morning, and so I'm really grateful to Reverend Stacy and to Kate for the music along with Pam. So thank you. And I understand a guest appearance surprised by the choir. Okay. So let's center ourselves, and we will continue our service with a sound blessing before the bell and the prelude. Hear these opening words. If you are weary and seeking rest, if the hurting of the world has worn away a part of your body or mind or spirit this week, come by here. Come by here if you're lonely, if you're looking for a kind word, a friendly smile, someone to say hello. Come by here if you're newly diagnosed, in remission, in the first steps of recovery, or if you're thinking, well, maybe I should try to stop. Why not rest a while in this good company? Come by here if you like to sing, if you like to play, if you like to pray. Come by here if your tears fall warm and heavy because the pain of the world is just too much. Come by here if you are sorry that you caused some of that pain. Come by here if you know that you're not it, all by yourself, alone. Come by here especially if you have just begun to figure out that that is true. Come by here if you want to be with people who are also amazed, astonished, awed, and occasionally perplexed by the power and beauty of life, of joy, of love. Come by here if you suspect that maybe, just maybe, this is wholeness, this is holiness, this is life itself calling you home.
We light our chalice this morning, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition. And may it be a reminder that the light of truth and the warmth of love are powerful guides for our lives. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn. It's number 1028 in your teal hymnal. It'll also be on the screen. The Fire of Commitment.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our minds and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance you sit down, please turn around and greet all of those around you.
We have a story this morning because this is a congregation that loves stories. Who doesn't love a story, I have to say. And so, as I'm wrestling with my mask here, mask as accoutrement. Prepare yourselves to receive a topical and timely story.
Evelyn Del Rey is Moving Away, written by Meg Medina, illustrated by Sonia Sanchez. Evelyn Del Rey is my mejor amiga, my numero uno best friend. Come play, Daniela, she says, just like she always does. Just like today is any other day. So I bundle up and cross the street. A big truck with its mouth wide open is parked at the curb, ready to gobble up Evelyn's mirror with stickers around the edge, her easel for painting on rainy days, and the sofa that we bounce on to get to the moon. She's waiting for me inside the iron doors. Then we climb the steps 2 at a time, just like we always do. We sneak past grouchy Mr. Miller's door and wave to Mr. Sue, who's feeding pigeons from the hall window. Senora Flores gives us each a cookie and says, "It's a big day," when we walk by. Our apartments are almost twins, just like us. That's why I already knew all the good places for hide and seek and the spot behind the heater where we keep our special finds. But the walls in Evelyn's room are sunny yellow, while mine are pink like cotton candy. And I live with my mamie and hamster, and she has a mamie, a puppy, and a cat. We are mostly the same, just like our apartments, but not after today. We find a still empty box near the door. In no time, I am a bus driver steering us all over the city. We play until the tables that were bus stops are gone, and the beds that were skyscrapers have vanished too. When we look around, everything has disappeared except us. Soon the truck outside rumbles off and there's a knock on the door. "Hide," we say, giggling, just like we always do. But our mothers see us before we can slip away. "Time to go," Mommy says. Evelyn and I hold hands in that wide, empty space. We lean back and start to spin in circles, faster and faster, until everything is a blur around us. Our fingers slip, but we don't let go until we wobble to the floor. "We can talk every day after school," I tell her, though the world is still whirling. And you can visit me this summer," she says, "and spend the night." But I know that tomorrow everything will be different. Evelyn will be in a new home that doesn't match mine. Before we leave, I spot something in the corner, left behind in the dust. It's the last of Evelyn's sparkly stickers. We go downstairs and I press a heart on her cheek to seal our promise. Then she does mine just the same. We say patata while Mommy takes a photo. We do our secret handshake one more time, and then Evelyn hugs me hard. Evelyn Del Rey is moving away, so she won't be right here anymore. Mommy says not to be sad, that we will both make new friends. But when Evelyn waves one last time, the stickers still on her cheeks, I know she will always be my first mejor amiga, my numero uno best friend. the one I will always know by heart.
In his book, To Bless the Space Between Us, John O'Donohue wrote, "Our passion for life is quietly sustained from somewhere in us that is wedded to the energy and excitement of life. This shy inner light is what enables us to recognize and receive our very presence here as blessing. We enter the world as strangers who all at once become heirs to a harvest of memory, spirit, and dream that has long preceded us and will now enfold, nourish, and sustain us. The gift of the world is our first blessing. It would be infinitely lonely to live in a world without blessing. The word blessing evokes a sense of warmth and protection. It suggests that no life is alone or unreachable. Each life is clothed in a raiment of spirit that secretly links it to everything else. Though suffering and illness befall us, they can never quench that inner light of providence. While our culture is all gloss and pace on the outside, within, it is often haunted and lost. The commercial edge of so-called progress has cut away a huge region of human tissue and webbing that held us in communion with one another. We have fallen out of belonging. Consequently, when we stand before crucial thresholds in our lives, we have no rituals to protect, encourage, and guide us as we cross over into the unknown. For such crossings, we need to find new words. What is nearest to the heart is often farthest from the word.
Ooh, what is nearest to the heart is often farthest from the word. So true. So, blessing. The first thing that comes to my mind is that whenever someone sneezes, you hear echoes of "bless you" coming from all directions, even from complete strangers. That particular blessing has survived all the way from the Middle Ages to our time. 1,000 years ago, when a person sneezed, people believed that their heart stopped beating. God bless you was a kind of insurance plan, right? Community insurance. It was a call upon God to admit the sneezing person to heaven and everlasting life, and not to abandon them to eternal hell if their heart did not start again before they had been blessed. In this worldview, God has the power to let you in or keep you out. In the Middle Ages, people thought that you had to continually beseech God, who was remote and stern and kind of stingy with the grace. Their view of God fit with their experience of the rest of their lives. Crops had to be wrestled from the earth. Cloth had to be wrestled from plant fibers. Life had to be wrestled from sickness and death. It seems that they believed that mercy and goodness had to be begged and wrestled from God because all of life was hard work for uncertain reward. Today, theist or atheist, Unitarian Universalists tend to have a more optimistic worldview, one of and a view of ultimate reality. We understand a world that's not rooted in original sin, not presided over by a stern, judgmental, remote deity. Rather, like other religious liberals, we tend to hold a worldview, a theology, of abundance in which blessings naturally flow through a web of interdependent relationships. Abundant gifts have already been given by life, by God. To bless is to recognize this abundance with gratitude and then to do our part to be good stewards of all of this, to help it increase and to continue to circulate, especially to the places where it hasn't made it because of systemic injustice. Our job is to make sure everyone gets a fair share. Well, we're not the only ones who believe this. John O'Donohue and others have observed that this same positive psychology and spirituality are the basis for Celtic spirituality. For thousands of years, there's been a recognition in Celtic spirituality that though we live within time and finitude, our lives also rest upon and are supported by the vastness of timelessness of eternity. We can experience this vast eternal power as loving presence, loving kindness, mercy, generosity, deep peace. And what's more, this eternal realm is where we come from, and deep within, we retain a connection to that realm. And we can, with all of its loving power and its creativity and generosity and kindness, and we can always reach out and touch it to replenish ourselves whenever we feel the need. O'Donohue says that if we offer a blessing when we're conscious of our connection to this source, our blessing has tremendous power to call forth potential, because when we're conscious, the sacred travels through us and through the blessing. O'Donohue writes, "Blessing is not the invention of what is not there, nor the glazed eye belief that the innocent energy of goodwill can alter what is destructive. Blessing is a more robust and grounded presence. It issues from the confident depths of the hidden self, and its vision and force can transform what is deadlocked, numbed, and inevitable. When you bless someone, you literally call the force of their infinite self into action." John O'Donohue. O'Donohue thought that it is tragic that with all of our technology and our modern capacity, that not only have we lost the art of noticing and blessing, but even more, this is what underlies our contemporary feelings of disconnection and loneliness. We have unlearned the grace and presence of belonging, he says. However, the good news is that the opposite is also true. When we know our place in the web of life, the web of community, these relationships can hold us steadily in place. And the practice of offering blessings can call forth each other's potential for sacred goodness. In a world filled with overwhelming and horrific developments, it is quite something to contemplate our potential to call on each other's sacred power for goodness. This is not to say that blessing makes anything easy. It does not. Nor is it a guarantee that everything will turn out as we so desperately hope it will. But this is what underlies the concept of beloved community, and the notion that we can call each other in to build it together. We can activate that power in each other to build beloved community. And whenever we do this, it's as if we're creating a little bit of heaven here on earth, a little bit of what's sacred to live among us here on earth in time. Recognition of this sacred power inspires the current Dalai Lama, who says, "My religion is kindness." This recognition inspired Gandhi, who said, "When I despair, I remember that all throughout history, the way of truth and love has always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they seem invincible, but in the end, they always fall." Think of it, always. That's from Gandhi. And this is what inspired Dr. King, who said, "Truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. Yet that scaffold sways the future, and behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadow, keeping watch above his own." There is nothing magical about this. Rachel Naomi Remen writes, "Perhaps our greatest service is simply to find ways to strengthen and live closer to our goodness. This is far from easy. It requires an everyday attention, an awareness of all that diminishes us, distracts us, and causes us to forget who we are. But every act of service bears witness to the possibility of freedom for us all. And every time someone becomes more transparent to the light within them, they will help restore the light in the world." Rachel Naomi Remen. So we'll take a pause here to take a breath and let that sink in.
So I invite you to join with me for a time of prayer and reflection. Dear love that holds us all, this is a prayer to name what has been created through steadfast commitment, determination, deep listening, and resonance of heart. Through stumbling and courageous learning, the power of leadership expressed through humility, how kindness, grace, generosity of spirit, joy, and love expressed through one can so transform the hearts of many. This is a prayer to name what has been created, for the new utterance upon our lips, beloved community, even as we might struggle to understand it, learning what it fully means to live into it, to be it. We hold this glimmer of it in our hearts, an aspiration that renews us every morning. Great is our faithfulness, our hope, our gratitude for what we have been led to in co-creative love and peace. This is a prayer to name a good ending and the fullness of feeling in the vast space that marks such an ending. Let us sit for a moment in the wonder and silence of it. We lift up this morning Meg Baysmith and her wife Sarah, who welcomed their twins, Isabel Oliver and Sophie Willow, who were born 4 weeks early last week. We hold them in our hearts and all in our community who are celebrating joys and milestones, and those navigating illness or loss of loved ones. We hold in our hearts people everywhere, those near and far, who live in fear and suffering. May needs be met. May hearts be comforted. May we all come to live in the full blessing of co-creative peace. May we hold in our hearts that endings, especially good ones, beckon us toward a new horizon, invite us into a new rhythm, learning, 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 as we begin again and create anew. May it be good, and may it be so. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
These words by Mary Oliver. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give into it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind. And much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb.
Joy is not made to be a crumb. I love that. Write that one down. Oh, wait, Mary Oliver already did. Okay. So I wonder, how have we blessed each other these past 14 years? How have we called forth the best from each other? How have we grown? As Bonnie LaCroix, where is Bonnie? I saw her. She's there's Bonnie. As Bonnie LaCroix told us so beautifully last night, ERUUF has grown in leadership, organizational maturity, and we are growing in our collective capacity to welcome people just as they truly are. We're learning to do more than simply welcome them to come in and be like us. That's in air quotes, be like us. Yes, we have something amazing to share. Don't be shy about that. And we're gradually learning to truly welcome everyone's amazing gifts. We're slowly learning to do this with people beyond our walls as well. And along different lines, we've also learned about material needs. The material needs to have things like reserve funds and strategic plans, and how important it is to set goals and be accountable for them, and why we need clear policies to guide our ministry so we can focus on what's really important. And what's important, really important, is that we are the inheritors and the stewards of the free church tradition. The free church arose in opposition to the power of monarchs and the overwhelming power of official state religions that supported the power of government. Early on in our tradition, people met to be part of discerning important spiritual matters for themselves. They listened to their preachers, and then they also met together with fellow members to consider where God was at work in their lives and what they needed to do to be good partners with the holy. They used a different language, but that's exactly what they knew they were doing. They wanted to know best how to lead and how to make decisions together for their church and the well-being of every member in it, and for the people beyond it. Part of the power of our faith is that our tradition has always been an alternative to authoritarianism. Always. There was a vitality that infused those early congregations, and it spread into communities and became part of the voluntary culture of this country, which led to innovation and growth, which was not perfect and it was not without significant problems. But this was vastly different than top-down managed societies. Another important part of our tradition is that we value science and reason, and at the same time, we also value intuition, poetry, images. We value emotional intelligence and the ability to be in dialogue with others who do not all think alike. We value wisdom and understanding. We value hospitality and inclusion. We value webby ways of discerning connections among and between things. We value emergent, innovative ways of being because this is how natural systems organize themselves. Those swooping, swarming murmurations of birds. That's how they do it. They pay attention to each other. And the result is that beauty, goodness, harmony, balance, and sustainability arise out of all of this to stabilize the mess that we naturally are able to make every other moment. We are people who value inhaling spiritual wisdom in order to discern truth, and we value exhaling to let our spirit lead us so that the Spirit can infuse and inform and activate our service and our action for equity and justice in the world. Being your minister has deepened my inner life, my soul. I have been charged, it was my job, what a joy, to inhale deeply through study and learning and writing, and also to exhale deeply, to reach out, to learn, to reorganize, to learn, to try again and again around justice and equity issues. I've discovered what is most real and true to me mostly by study and practice on my own, and also with informal groups of fellow seekers and with my colleagues. I needed these companions as I went on something like a sea dive to poke around in deep water and look into mystery and wonder. It can be so difficult to find words to talk about spiritual matters. I've so often sensed concepts, ideals, and truths gliding past me like whales and giant sea turtles in the water just below my conscious mind. I've often been frustrated by my inability to convey the important connections that I sense. None of this conveys through a sermon with one main idea and 3 key things to take away to apply to your life. I wish it did, because I know that you value that, and honestly, I value that. But that's not how my mind works, or how anything that I understand as really important truth has ever come to me. And yet, you hung in there with me through that. Disappointment pierced me through. Still, I kept on loving you. We sing sometimes. And I thank you. I thank you for that. The blessing is that through disappointments and disagreements, we kept coming back to be in relationship with each other. It seems to me that that's when we began to catch just glimpses here and there of what could be true beloved community. And it's also when we were able to keep the flame burning more brightly in our chalice, a light for anyone who was searching for a community where together we create a new sense of we and new ways of generating the common good together. A blessing comes when we meet at the place where we sense that our life in this world breaks through and touches eternity. For me, this is such a time and such a place, and I offer this blessing to you. This blessing for a new chapter. As you pause in this moment where the green leaves of the world are fresh and new, pulsing with life, may a space open within you for the new life that yearns to rise through your body, mind, and spirit into new forms. As your bright, hopeful plans take shape, and as they become creased and wrinkled, torn and spattered with the mud of reality, may you remember that we make models and prototypes so we can learn to fail forward. And when at times your heart sinks with despair over headlines generated by rage and ego and greed, and you fear for your body's freedom and sometimes for your very life itself, may a ray of sunlight pierce the gloom to remind you that everything is in motion, change is already happening, and the power to make a difference already lives and breathes within you. As you ponder your small resources in light of large troubles, may you remember that you are not the first to dredge each breath through the sullen heat of such a time. Others before you have organized, strategized, and thrown a Holy Ghost dance party for the greater good. Hold fast to their vision and their tactics. They knew what works. As you raise a flag to test the wind and calculate where it might take you next, remember that you are part of a greater we, and that part of the calculation has to come from quarters you might not know yet even exist. Go find out who's been there all along. Listen to their wisdom and allow that to inform your vision and your mission. Once you get going and weariness begins to set in from your efforts, may you remember wholehearted joy, which is not made to be a crumb, but a whole loaf. And when gathered together with a few fish, the blessing in a few small baskets can feed multitudes. May you remember always the necessary goodness of feasting, laughter, and dancing. This blessing comes from my heart to your heart, my life to your life, my spirit to your spirit. Ashe. Amen. Blessed be. Thank you. You honor me. Thank you. Every week we come here with our yearning and our hope to be a better person, to live in a better world, to make friends, to find joy. And so we give what we can to create this beloved community, and we take it whenever we can beyond our walls. We do this through the morning offering as a symbol of all that we give at other times. Would the greeters please come forward and pass the plates? for all that began in blessing, for all that wraps up and concludes with beauty and abundance and strength. We give thanks. We're going to sing together one last time. We're going to sing the song Blessing. The words will appear on the screen.
Please rise in body or spirit. May the eastern breezes bless you. Lift your spirit, make them fly. May the southern sun shine on you, warm your heart and help you try. May the western waters cleanse you, washing over all you feel. Northern earth be yours to stand in, ground you so you know what's real. Overall be strength and beauty, food and friends and music fine. Work your love and pleasant duty, love to make your spirit shine. All of these I wish upon you, multiply them 3 times 3. Draw a circle all around you, and forever blessed be.
Hear these closing words. The poet and philosopher Mike Nepo says that the work of a lifetime is never finished, and neither is our work of ever becoming more. He writes, life is a journey of approaching a horizon at which we never arrive. The journey is made alone, sometimes with others, but the approach over a lifetime, if faced openly and honestly, hones us into an instrument of living that turns suffering into a music that is bewitching and healing, a music we call love. We give thanks, source of love, source of life, for the blessings that are flowing even now through our hearts, through this beloved community. Help us ever be agents and servants of love. Go in love, go with joy to share your abundant gifts with the world. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be.